So let's create our own data element and domain. Okay. Again, we will go to SE11 transaction code, and you can see here we have a radio button domain, which we are going to use for creation of our domain. So first field I have is employee ID. Its data type is character and its length is 3. So I will simply go for it. I will give a name here. We already know that whenever we create any custom object, it always start with Z, right?
Yes.
So we will create employee ID, and suppose I am giving its name here as simply 8 to 10, 8 to 10. I will click on create button. Just provide any short description as usual. Whenever we are going to create any object, there will be a short description for it. So I'll simply provide a short description here as employee ID. Now in this data type, you can see here we have a search help button. If you will click on this F4 help, it will take you and it's going to show you how many data types are already there that SAP has created for us. We can select any one of them. So for my requirement, my data type is character. So I will simply select it and I will pass the length. Okay. Here you are going to pass the length. Click on save button. Simply pass the package name. This is my package. Press enter and transport request. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after you create anything and when you have saved the stuff, you are required to do two more things. See here, we have a button called check. Also, its a secret key is control plus F2. Its shortcut key is control plus F2. The reason here is you will always go for this button because it is going to tell us if there is any error inside this domain creation. So if there will be any error, you are going to get the error message. But when I clicked on it, I am getting the green message here. No inconsistency found. After that, you will click on this activate button. You will always go for this activate button. You will activate it because if your object is not activated, you cannot use it. And once you will activate your object, the status of that object will change to active mode. So if any object is there, it will always be in active mode, otherwise you cannot use it. If you want to check it, you can go for any table or any other object. Everything, if you will open anything here, just open the VBAK table, you are always going to see this thing will be in active mode. Otherwise, we will not be able to use it. Okay. So now let's copy this one and save it in our notepad. So I've created my domain of employee ID. Now I'll go for employee name. It is character 40. Again, get back to S11. Select the domain radio button. I will this time pass here employee name, create, again short description, employee name. And in the data type, we will select the data type character 40. Press enter, save, package, transport request, and activate your thing. Object activated. Same approach. Always go for the same approach. Just follow the step. You will never get any trouble. Okay? And paste your column. Now the third column we will go for it is a department. Again character 40. So I will give here department, department, create, short description, department. Select the data type, character, its length 40. Click on activate, assign the package, transport request, object activated, copy the domain name and again paste it here. Then after we have manager. So manager is again character 30 length. We will go for it. Manager, manager, Manager short description, data type your character, length 30, save and click on activate button. Your domain of manager is also ready. Now we have the most important one, salary field. Here we have a data type called CURR, and in the currency we have a data type CUKY. Did you guys have ever heard about it?
No.
No. Most likely they are custom data types.
Do you see here any Z? Do you see any
Ah,
Z key here?
okay.
So
No,
how
so they
can this one
actually,
be a custom?
yeah,
This is not.
substandard.
All right, let's see
Okay.
this. What is the use of it? I will simply go for it and I will pass here. Suppose the name of my domain as salary. I will go for create button. I will pass a short description salary. Now inside this data type, I will click on F4 button and see here we have a separate field, currency field, right? CURR. So to understand this field, let's take an example. So you guys already working in a company. So your salary is suppose 10,000. But what is the unit of your payment? Is it in US dollar or it is in dinar or it is in INR? This thing is mandatory or not?
Mhm.
This thing is
Yes.
definitely mandatory. So what SAP has done for this currency and quantity field, in this URR field, your salary is going to be stored. Suppose you are getting $10,000. So 10,000 amount will be stored in this column which is CURR field, and that US dollar will be stored into this quantity field. Because if your salary has no unit, obviously we will not be able to store both the 10,000 and US dollar in the same column, na? How is
Mhm.
it possible to store this thing that I say here that I want to store 10,000, let's say 10,000 US dollar. Is it possible to store in the same column?
If you use it as a character string, for example, right?
But
Then maybe it's
character,
possible.
how character will be treated as a amount value?
Yes.
Will character be treated as a amount value?
No,
I
no,
have
so
to
you
store
can't
amount
calculate.
na. Yeah, that is why what SAP has done, it has created two separate data type. You can use CURR for storing the amount and its unit will be stored in the CUKY field. That is why I am taking there as two different column. In the salary, we will be storing the amount. Amount can be there in decimals also. That is why we are passing up to two length decimal here. And your currency, in this currency, we will always get this CUKY field. Its length is fixed by SAP. 5 length is there. You can store either INR, US dollar, or whatever currency you are using. You can store everything here. Is this thing clear?
Mhm.
Yes.
So let's go for our salary and pass the CURR. And here I will give 7, comma 2, 2. Press enter. Its output length will become 9. Click on save package and click on activate button. Now copy your salary domain and paste it on the notepad. At last, we have our currency column. So let's give it currency, currency, create short description here as currency. And inside this, my data type will be CUKY. See here, currency key referenced by CURR field. This quantity is going to reference your currency field. Okay.
Mhm.
Hmm.
If you will press enter, you are going to see a by default length as 5. It has been defined by SAP. I am not the one who is defining it. So I will simply click on save button, assign the package. transport request and click on activate button. Now you can copy this domain and you can paste it inside the notepad. So my domain creation part is done for my employee table. Now I will go for data element creation part. Okay. So Alan, please tell me which of these radio buttons I'm going to use for the creation of data element. You have told me that you know.
For the data element, hmm, could it be that it's no, the data type is wrong because we did that?
Did you forget the definition part?
Uh,
We are going to pass the domain inside the data element, and this data element is the combination of both the data type and also the heading of the column that is going to be visible. In the ABAP programming part, when we will discuss the programming stuff, where we will see how this data, what is the real use of this data element. But for now,
mhm.
we should know that how we are going to create it. So, okay. So you are
Yes.
for creation part, you are going to select this data type radio button and you will pass your name here. So I will simply pass a name, employee ID, uh, again the suppose data element. Any name you can pass, but please try to pass a name that is more easy to understand the meaning of that particular column. All right, I will click on create button. Now, when you will click on create button, you are going to see here three radio button: data element, structure, table type. We will see these things in the upcoming part, but for now we have to create the data element. So I will select this data element radio button and we will click on OK button. Now again provide your short description, employee ID. And here we will simply paste the domain that we have created for it. We will simply paste our domain here. Press enter. It will by default it will fetch the data type and length inside it, and here it will pop up. Okay.
Mhm.
Now again I have one more question. I have told you that this data element is going to tell us how the column or field will be visible to the end user. So how, where, at which place am I going to write a name that will be visible to the end user? At which place I am going to write it?
In the field label.
Yes, in the field label. This attribute section is going to again show the generic data. In every database object, you are always going to see this attributes tab where your generic data will be stored. And inside this field label, you are going to store the data that will be visible to the end user. For short, for medium, for long, and heading, you can write this thing, everything, it will be visible to the end user in the same way. So I will simply copy this employee ID and I will paste in both the four section. For it will be visible as a heading. For the long text, this one will be visible. For the medium, this will be, and for the short, it will be visible. So in always please try to fill all these four columns. Okay.
Just one thing on the short thing, you are missing a D. Is there a character limit here in the
No, no,
short
yeah,
or
yes. It is a character limit.
okay?
Okay. Now
Hmm.
please click on save, sign the package, and click on activate button. If you want, you can see it like this one, employee ID. Totally up to you.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay,
But I prefer to give the full name. That is why I have given it.
right. Hmm.
Save and click on activate. Now again, your data element is ready. Please copy the name of your data element and paste it on the notepad. So that while the creation of our table part, we can directly use it. Okay.
Are you missing a zero on the end?
Oh, wait a second. Let's copy it and now paste it.
Hmm.
So my employee ID is ready. Data element of my employee ID is ready. Now we can go for employee name. So let's change it to employee name, uh, data element, suppose D, and I will click on create button. Data element, okay. Again, simply pass the short description here, employee name, and simply copy the domain and paste it here. Again, copy our domain, paste here. Now in the field label, same to same approach, copy the short description or whatever name that you want, paste it here. Click on save, package, transport request, and activate your data element. Always activate it, otherwise it is not going to work. So copy it and paste it in the notepad. Now let's go for the department one. Create our data element. Get back, give a name for it. Department. Click on create data element. Okay. Short description department. Paste the domain here. Copy your description and please try to give a field label. Field label. Save, package, and activate it. Is this thing difficult to create, Mukul or Ellen?
No.
No.
See, in SAP, the only thing that I have learned in my all those years of experience is there is nothing called vast in SAP. Everything is easy, but only difficulty that you are going to face is that the approach might be lengthy. Okay,
Mhm.
SAP is easy to learn, but it is difficult to master. This is the thing that is used in the market to describe it. So if you guys are going to do continuous practice, definitely you are going to become a wonderful web developer. So now let's create for our data element for our manager part. Let's give a data element here, manager name, create data element, provide the short description, manager, enter your domain, field label, again give a heading for your end user. Now click on save button, enter your package, activate it, copy its name and paste it on the notepad. Also, you guys don't need to paste it here since we have already created our transport request. We can directly go to SE10 here, and if I will open my transport request, see here inside this, if you will go, whatever thing that we have created till now, it will be stored here. This was the package that we have created. This is the domain, you guys can see here, it has been created, that I have created here. See, the same name is there na.
Mhm.
Inside this data element, you can see the data element that you have created. This is the main benefit that I see for this transport request during the practice or training part, that whatever object I am going to create it, whatever the thing is going to create it, it will be available in a separate folder. Okay. All right, let's create the next data element, which is salary part. Let me copy the domain of it. We will give a name for it, salary, create data element, short description here, salary. Now domain, we will press enter, go to field label and give a heading here. Save, package and activate it. Copy the name of data element and same to same, press enter here. Now at last, the last data element, currency, currency. Click on create data element. Provide the short description, copy the domain name and paste it here. And now we will give the field level as usual and save it and activate it. So is there any confusion till now?
No.
Mukul, everything is clear?
Yes.
Please don't have any hesitation. If you guys face anything, please ask at the same time. That is why we are here to provide you training. Okay.
Okay. So will we be doing this now ourselves?
Yes, you can do it. Everything that you are going to see in the training, please go at your home and practice all those stuff.
Okay.
Yes, Amrit,
Sorry.
I wanted to ask about the system access. Will we
Yeah,
get our
see,
users?
system access will be provided to you guys within 1 or 2 days. Actually, the new system installation is going on ABAP on HANA. Some part was deprecated, so we were currently working on update part. Within 1 or 2 days, the system will be ready. They will provide you the access. Okay.
Thanks.
And just one more question. When we try to practice this, what key do we use? For example, here you've used 810.
This 8-10
So,
I'm passing here for 8 to 10 timing that we are having here. You can pass your
okay.
name here. That is
Okay.
totally up to you. If you want to pass your name, Mukul, you can create it. Nobody is going to ask you why you have given this data element. See, the thing is, they are always try to give a meaningful name. I have passed here 8 to 10 because I have created so much manager field here. So
Mhm.
if I'll go for again, there might be possibility it will give me a message that it already exists here. So I was trying to give a unique name that is not there in the system.
Okay.
All right. Any other doubt?
No.
Okay.
No.
So this is how we first go for domain and data element creation part. Now we will go for our employee table creation. We will go for our employee table creation. So I will simply select this radio button database table and I will give a meaningful name for my table starting with Z sign. So, let's give a name here, employee tab, and again I will pass here 8 to 10 to give a separate name. You guys can select, you guys can pass any name that you are okay with it. It is not going to cause a problem. I am just passing this employee name. Please don't confuse this with any key or any other word. Okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Now we will click on create button. So see here. First, provide a short description. And now we are going to discuss the whole thing, how we go for creation and every stuff. So in this delivery class, before this delivery class, we have a separate definition we must need to know. Let's go to it. Where is it? Manager. Yeah, employee table creation. Types of SAP data. Who is going to explain me? How many types of SAP data is there? This thing must be known by every consultant. It doesn't matter whether it is a developer or anyone. How many types of SAP data is there? Do you guys have heard about master data,
Yes.
transaction data, right? What is master data, Alan?
It's a table where, for
Table?
example, this.
Please don't
Oh.
confuse data with a table.
Mhm.
Master data is a type of data. I'm not telling your data will definitely be actual data which will be stored inside the table. But how can you tell a data is a table? No, data is the actual content which is stored inside the table. It is not a table. Table is a place, table is a container. Data, see here, we are human being who is living inside a house. So this house is like your table which is storing us with, right? Can I
Mhm.
call myself a house?
No.
Definitely not. What you are going to see here, we have three kinds of SAP data. The first one is master data. Master data is a type of data which is accessed very frequently but changed very rarely. So a kind of data which will be accessed very frequently but changed very rarely is known as master data. Can you give me example of data which is accessed very frequently but it is changed very rarely? Just
Material
think
master.
about. Please ask it again.
Material master.
Material master. I am telling. Just take a simple example of your life, of your organization. Don't go for this SAP part. I just take an example of a data that you might know which is accessed on a regular basis, but it is changed very rarely.
I think the details on
How,
your ID card.
How do you think your salary is credited every month? How do you guys think your salary is credited? The finance department goes at the end of every month to see your salary there, and after that, they can simply credit it to your account, right?
yes.
Mhm.
And how do you think a project is allocated? For the allocation part, they always require the employee ID part, so they again will be fetching your data from the employee details data, right?
Hmm.
But once you have joined the organization and you are not, until you are not leaving it, is your data will be changed there? Is your name will be changed there? Is your ID is going to change?
No.
Definitely not. Now your ID is not going to change there. So this employee data of any company is a kind of data which is accessed very frequently. Material master is a different stuff. Don't please use it. Okay. It is a different thing.
Mhm.
I just wanted to take example which we can understand in this first class. Slowly, gradually, we will go for material and all those things. But for now, just we are just like babies. We don't know anything. We are just trying to learn, right?
Hmm.
Then we have our transaction data. So a type of data which is always changing and number of records are continuously increasing, like banking transaction. Every day a company has a lot of projects. Every day a company is investing a lot of amount on purchasing some materials, some other thing that will be required for the development of their company. So a lot of transactions are there, revenue transaction can be there. So a type of data which is always changing in nature, that is your transaction data. And then we have this configuration data, so a type of data that we can customize, that is a data which totally depends upon the business scenario and customer requirement. So whenever you are going to see a specific kind of requirement in the business scenario, then you are going to play with this kind of data. So mostly we are going to use which kind of data? What do you guys think? Mostly we are going to use which kind of data here?
I would say the configuration data and the master data.
No, 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 no. You don't got it. It totally depends on business scenario and customer requirement. When whenever there will be a project, a customer is going to ask specifically to go for a specific kind of data, then we go for this one. But as for our training part, we don't have any this kind of requirement, so we will go for only these two kinds of data. Okay.
Hmm. Yes.
But for your knowledge, you guys should know that there is a third kind of data, configuration data is also there. Okay.
Hmm.
All right, let's go for our creation part and let's see what is the use of this SAP data in our employee table creation. So now again, I will go for SC11. I will pass again here employee name. I will go for create button and I will pass a short description employee table. Now whenever you will go click on create button and you will go inside this table part, what you are going to see here is This delivery class is there. Okay. And this delivery class is used for controlling data transport during installation, upgradation, and transporting between customer system. Whether if there is any installation, suppose your this ERP system, your company is working on ECC system and it is will migrate to S4HANA system. So this delivery class is going to control the transportation of data. And when you will click on F4 button, you can see here we have variety of delivery classes. And what kind of class we are going to use here? Please tell me. We are going to play mostly with this master and transaction data. Okay.
Mhm.
So it will again be depending on the requirement, but or for training purpose, this kind of we are only going for master and transaction data. So I will simply select it. Now then we have this data browser and table view maintenance. So when I will click on this drop down, you are going to see we have three options available. So the second option we have is display and maintenance of display maintenance allowed. So when we are going to create this employee table, obviously we will be storing some data. Obviously we will be maintaining the data. Obviously we will be updating the data. Obviously if that some data is wrong, we will be deleting the data, right?
Mhm.
So we will always select this display maintenance allowed so that maintenance can be allowed for the table. If you will not select it, there is a separate portion in the we will discuss it here that we will not be able to create that. Okay. Now here again you can see we have this attribute section which is going to describe the generic data that which one who has created it. If you will click on this table, you will if you will assign the package here, transport request here, the package name will automatically pop up in this section. See here, it will automatically come.
Mhm.
Okay. I hope this delivery maintenance tab is clear. Any doubt here?
And if I select display maintenance not allowed, then I would have to, if I want to perform
It
changes in
simply
this
means,
table.
see, let me tell
Mhm.
you, there is a thing called table maintenance generator, TMG. Okay. So that TMG is created for the end user and customer so that they can maintain the data in the table. If you are not selecting this one, we will not be able to create the TMG.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Please try to use these whole three things and then you guys are going to see the changes. First, go for the allowed part. Then now go for the all those part. Okay. You will have a complete week for the practice. Please try to have different scenario and then see what are the challenges you are going to face. See here,
Mhm.
the amount of time you are going to face error, the amount of mistake that you are going to do will completely help you to become a good developer. So please try to do as many mistakes as possible. Okay. Now we will go
Yes.
for this fields part, and in this field part, just relate with our VBAK table. Just relate with our VBAK table. Is this thing same or not? Is this thing same or not? Right? How do you think your SAP developers has created this table? They have followed the same approach. They have directed us to follow this approach, and we are following it to create our custom tables that we can pass on for the clients. Okay.
Mhm.
Now let's store our columns. So obviously we are going to play with the client dependent one. So I will pass the first column as MANDT by default. MANDT will be there here. Again MANDT. Name and field data element will be same for the client dependent one. This is not going to store any data. This is only there to prove that your table is client dependent table. And mostly guys, 99% you are only going to play with the client dependent table. So always please try to use it. After that, we will start with our data element. So these are the data element we have created. The first one was this one. Simply copy it. And in this column section, you are going to give a technical name for your column. So suppose I am giving here EMP underscore ID. Don't ever give any space between it. If you are giving any space, please use the underscore sign. If you are simply passing like this one, it will be called as a error. Your system will never accept it. So this will always be EMP underscore ID. This is not a space in between. Okay. Underscore
Mhm.
sign is there. If you want to store it like this one, you can store it, but do not try to give a space here and like write this one. Okay.
Mhm.
It will be considered a single name only. That is why I'm using this underscore sign, because you guys can understand this name. Otherwise, it will be like confused like EMP ID. What is this EMP ID? Okay. Any confusion here?
No,
Mukul?
no
Helen?
confusion.
No.
Okay. So this employee ID field, and here we will paste our data element that we have created and press enter. See guys here. By default, it is fetching the data type that we have passed inside it, the length here, the short description, everything. Okay. Then we will go for next field. We will pass our employee name. Suppose I am giving here technical name as EMP underscore name. After that, I will pass the data element and I will press enter. Next one, department, and press enter your department value. Then we have manager, and we will pass the manager here. We have then salary. We'll pass the data element of our salary field, and then for currency we will pass the data element of our currency field. Always follow the steps guys. You will go for table name, you will click on create button, then you will enter the delivery and maintenance tab. Inside this delivery maintenance tab, you will pass the delivery class and the table view maintenance type. I have selected here allowed. You can select whatever you want, but the consequences will be followed. After this thing you are going to do, you will go to field section, and inside this field section you will give the columns of your table. Okay. And once your column and data element is passed, you are going to select the primary key. MA and DT will by default be the primary key. After that, whatever the primary key of your table, you are going to pass it. See here, what is the primary key of my employee table? Employee ID is there, so I will simply pass it. Click on this checkbox button. This will become your primary key. Okay.
Mhm.
So this is the third step. You are going to after creation of columns, you are going to select the primary key, and once it is done, click on save button and click on technical setting here. Go for technical setting part. Inside this technical setting, we are going to you are going to you are going to pass the space where your table will be stored, where your employee data is going to be stored. Okay. Is this thing clear?
Yes.
So this technical setting is the part where we are going to define at which part of my database my employee table will be stored. See here in this logical storage parameter, we have a separate field called data class. Now if you will click on this data class search help, you are going to see here we have total 6 kind of data class. Can you guys tell me what is the use of data class here? All right. See, let's take an example. Suppose in my HANA database, I am able to store 1 trillion data. Okay, let's take two situation. In the first situation, let's say in the both situation, I am storing 1 trillion data. Now in the first situation, I have stored the data in the form of a sorted order. You guys know the meaning of sorted order?
Yes,
Huh.
that it's sorted in an ascending or descending
Yeah,
way.
ascending or descending like this one. So let's say in the first situation, I am storing data in form of sorted order, and in the second situation, I am storing data in form of unsorted order. So in which scenario I will be able to easily search the data?
If
In the
it's sorted,
sorted order, because I already know data is sorted. So if I'm looking for the sixth element, it will be there at the sixth position. So this is the situation with SAP. What SAP is doing here, it has divided its database into the six part. And if your data is master or transparent tables, if you are playing with transparent table, you are creating transparent table, you are using the master data, it is going to simply find all those data and it will group them and it will store into a separate portion of the database. So when your SAP compiler will go for fetching those data, whenever as a developer you will go to find those data, if you want to create any other thing, you will go to find the data, it will directly go inside the separate portion, because SAP has simply given divided the database into six part. In the first part, your all the master data is stored, so it will be now easier for the SAP compiler to return that data. Let's say a scenario that all the data is mixed, right? All the data, master data, transaction data, all the dimension table, BW, fact tables, ODS tables, all those are mixed at the same place. Now it will become difficult for the SAP compiler to return those data. But in this situation, suppose I am selecting this APPL0, so I know my data is stored in the first portion of my database. So my compiler will directly go to the first portion, and here it will be relatively easier to find all the data that I am looking for, right?
mhm.
Are you guys getting my point?
So basically, the APPL0 is used when it's sorted, yeah?
Not sorted, that is some separate stuff. See what SAP is going to do. It will simply group the same kind of data, group the same kind of data and store it in a place. So if you are going for a vegetable shop, what you guys are going to see there? Are you going to see the groceries at that place, or are you going to see the vegetables? My question here is, whenever you guys go for vegetables shop, are you going to see the groceries there, or are you going to see the vegetables there?
Mostly vegetables.
Definitely, I'm going for a vegetable shop. That guy will be selling the vegetable. So the same stuff is there. What SAP is doing, it will simply group the similar kind of data and it will store to a similar, it is in a single store, so that my compiler will now know that where my data, if I am going for master data, it will directly go inside this APPL0 part and it will be easy to fetch out. If I am storing transactional data, I will select this APPL1. All the transactional data is stored into the APPL1 part. So I will no longer need to go into this APPL0 part, so that my time will be no the amount of time I am going to waste for APPL0 will be reduced now.
Just one question.
Mm-hmm. Please tell.
Is it also related to the hardware on the server? For example, APPL0 is assigned certain memory, APPL1 memory or
No, no,
RAM.
no, no, no. See, let's say your HANA database is your kitchen, right? And in your kitchen, you have divided your kitchen into multiple parts, so that you can store some boxes in one portion. You can store your other stuff like what I say, kitchen items like your cooker, your the plates that in which you are eating, right? You can store it in some other place. So you have simply divided your kitchen into multiple parts so that whenever you as a user are going to prepare your food, you already know that where is your cooker, where are your plates, right? So let's again say divide this into two situations. Suppose you don't have kitchen, so all your kitchen items are now mixed and stored at a single place. So now whenever you will go for preparing certain food item, will it be easier for you to find your cooker or plates? Or in the
No.
second scenario, all the stuff you have are stored in a organized format. You already know where your cooker is, where your plate is, where other vegetables are there that you are going to use. So this time you will get you are going to take less time, na? Okay, this thing is being messed up. What I am saying here is SAP has divided that. Let's say if you are going for master data, it has divided the database into separate places where only master data will be stored, separate places where only transparent data, transaction data will be stored, separate places where the other BW part will be stored or the fact tables will be stored. So if I am playing with master data, I already know my days here. All the data is stored here. So now if I will go to fetch data, I will no longer need to go to these places, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my
Mhm.
time is being saved na.
Okay.
Yes, it's easier to search for SAP. I understand. Yeah, it's more organized this way, and it doesn't have to go through all of these data classes, all of the data in the data classes, right?
Is there still confusion?
No.
No.
You're okay, Mukulna? Alan?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we am selecting simply APPL 0 here. Alright, again it has been logged out. Let's open it again. So this is your data class. Data class is the main physical area where your actual data is going to be stored, guys. Oh, wait a second. Again, open it. It's 11 table. Change mode. Go to the technical setting. Data class is the physical area where your data will be stored. Where is it? Uh, Data class. A portion or physical area of the database where your table is going to be stored. Okay, this is the definition of this data class. So this is the portion where your data will be stored. This is the technical definition. Okay, you can select whatever you want. Mostly we will go for APPL 0 or with APPL 1. These are the things you might not be using in your entire life. Mostly you are only going to play with 0 or 1. Okay. Now we
Mhm.
have this size category, and if you will click on F4 help here, you can say you can select how many data you are going to store inside this table. If you want to store more than 2400 and between 9900, you can select this one. If you want this one, this is the range where how much you want to store data inside this table. Okay,
Mhm.
we are creating this table for the practice part, so I will go for the 0. I will click on save. We can select here, we can see we can store 2400 record around here. Okay, now get back to click on back button, save, and you can click on activate button here. What is the message am I getting?
An
Error
error.
occurred. This is an information error. And if you will click on OK button, we can see here we have a red message. Red message simply means there is a error inside your table. If there is green message or yellow message, you don't need to worry about that. But if there is a red message, we must need to find a solution. What is this error saying? Please read it.
That set employee tables 8 to 10 salary, specify reference table
It is
and
saying
reference
me
field.
that this table hyphen salary column specify reference table and reference field. Let's go to back button here. I have created here a currency field where I am going to store 10,000 amount, and here I will be storing US dollar suppose. But how
Mhm.
my SAP is going to understand which US dollar or INR or a dinar is going to correspond to which amount?
Mhm.
So for that purpose, here we have a separate currency and quantity field. And you can see here, whenever you are going to use this data type CURR, every time you will have to pass a reference table and its reference field. So now if I am passing this currency field here, suppose I am passing this currency field here and this table here. So this time SAP is going to understand that whatever amount that I am going to store inside this salary column, it is going to refer to this currency field of this employee table. That simply means its unit is going to store inside this column of this table. Okay. So
Mhm.
Okay.
whenever you are going to pass this CURR data type, it will always require a reference table and its reference field. Is this definition clear? That is why I use this column, I use this currency and quantity field for creation of this table so that we can understand it, that you guys might face this dilemma in the upcoming session or in your future.
And this, for
Mhm.
example, here it says currency and quantity fields. So this could also be used for quantity, for example,
uh,
kilo or
no,
volume.
no, this field name is currency data passed here.
No, I'm sorry. On the heading, the heading of this tab, currency and quantity. So, for example, even if I have, for example, weight of an item or something, then it would also
No,
require a
not
reference.
weight of a item. Quantity here represents the unit. That is why it is there. The 10,000 part there will be US dollar and or INR or whatever currency of your amount that you are getting. For that purpose, it is
Mhm.
going to refer here. Yes, for
Yes.
weight, if you want, you can use it definitely. But
Okay.
tell me here, how you are going to define a data type for weight? This is my question. Are you going to use CURR field to store your weight?
Mm,
Or are you
mm,
going to use integers or characters for storing your weight? Definitely. Which one you are going to use it?
I mean, not currency.
Yeah, so it is mostly related to amount part. That is why I have taken this salary and currency thing. In your future, you might get those situations. So it will be, as a developer, you will have to decide it which column you are going to use or which data type you are going to use. Okay. All right. So this one is clear. Now, if you will click on this F2 to check, Control plus F2 to check the syntax error, click on save. We can see here no error is there, only yellow message. Yellow message is not a problem for us. If there is any red message, then definitely that is a problem. Now if you will click on activate button, check for the warnings. Is there any error, guys?
No.
No error. And I'm getting this message, object activated, my table is created. Will you now be able to create table?
Yes.
So this is how we are going to create a table. We will pass the table name. We will click on create button, and when we will go inside the table, first tab that will appear here is delivery and maintenance. We will pass the delivery class, data maintenance. Then in the fields, you will pass all those columns which are mandatory. After that, you guys are going to pass the primary key. Again here, focus on the thing. Whatever the primary key that you are going to use in a table, all those primary key will always be stored on the top. You cannot now mark this salary here as the primary key. My SAP compiler will not be able to understand why this primary key is stored below it. If this column will be primary key, please try to store at the above. Only the above fields can be marked here as the primary key. Okay.
Mhm.
Now the next thing that we do, for we go for technical setting and we select, we pass our data class and size category, and if there is any currency and quantity field, always we go for this tab and we pass the reference table and reference field. Now click on activate button and activate your table. So your table is ready.